Hello everyone, Lewis Crompton here, and this is not financial advice. Have you ever wondered how the rich get rich and how they stay rich from generation to generation? And do you want to know how you can do the same by using the same techniques as they do, the same systems that they do? Then this video is for you. And if you want to learn about how to do money better, how to make more of it in less time, then like this video and subscribe to the channel and press that alert button somewhere on the page. Now, I have always been fascinated by the rich. I used to walk around places like Mayfair, like Knightsbridge, like Marylebone in London, and I would look at these beautiful houses with incredible cars parked outside, and I would wonder, what did these people do that enabled them to earn that much money? How did they do it? As I got older and I thought about maybe having kids one day, I wondered how it was that these rich people, were able to keep that wealth in the family and how they were able to pass on generational wealth, wealth that lasts from kids to grandkids to great-grandkids. I didn't grow up in a rich family. I didn't grow up in a poor family either. My parents were both teachers. So it stands to reason that I would end up becoming a teacher myself, just not in the standard education space. I'm too much of a rebel for that. I used to skip out on school all of the time, especially when it got to college and sixth form. I would head to go and see my first love, all-you-can-eat buffets, whether that be Italian, Chinese, Indian, as long as it had variety and I was allowed as much of it as I could shovel into my face, I was happy. They probably lost money when I walked through the door. No wonder they didn't like me very much at those places. I wonder if the mega rich enjoy a Chinese buffet as much as I do. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they just fly over to China and eat. I have observed some families who manage to pass on their wealth and others where the wealth is all but gone within 1 or 2 generations. I think one of the main reasons that enables the mega rich to keep their wealth within the family is to teach their children financial management. I say management because that is a different skill to just making money. They're very, very different skill sets. Now, many people hear the term financial literacy and actually all they're thinking about is making money. Now, that is just one aspect of financial literacy. And it is a foundation for sure, because you have to make money in this life if you want to manage it. Now, a lot of my goals involve me making more money and helping others to do the same. However, when you are doing that and you have done that, as in you've already made that money, there are other components to being financially literate that you really do need to consider and you need to master. So there's money management, there's money protection, money growth, to name just a few, and that's growth through you not having to do any work. Now, the rich stay rich because they have a rounded approach to money and their wealth isn't tied up in just one thing. Let me give you an example here. So if someone is mega rich, they've got all of the dosh already, and all of that dosh comes from an incredibly successful business, just one business. Let's say this is an example. What happens if and when the business is hit by bad times? What happens to that rich person's wealth? Especially if they've gone and bought themselves a big fancy house or a beautiful car or maybe multiple sexy cars. What happens when the source of that wealth river runs dry? I will tell you what happens. They start to become financially dehydrated and their lifestyle will shrivel and die until there is no money left and what they had built no longer exists. The alternative is to be smarter with your money. Forget about the big impressive house, the big impressive sexy cars and all that stuff, which is really just an ego trip for most people. Instead, focus on building many rivers and creating financial reservoirs of money and of finance. That is why, although I hate it, I'm a big believer in property. Every single person I know who has maintained wealth from generation to generation owns property. Guess what they also own? They own stocks, they own shares that yield them dividends. Personally, I trade. That's my form of generating cash flow, so I don't need stocks that give me dividends in the same way as someone who's dealing with large sums of wealth is. But eventually I will be buying those up too for passive income. One river can dribble to a trickle, but 100 trickles is still enough to sustain your financial life if you manage it effectively. That is what the rich do who stay rich. They keep that wealth from generation to generation by passing on the knowledge that they have access to about how to manage wealth, not just about making wealth. The wealthy do, be it fair or unfair, have access to mechanisms that those without money don't have access to. However, there are some that everybody has access to if they know how. For example, a trust. Trusts are a way to relinquish ownership in a legal way, while still being able to benefit from the assets held in trust. Okay, so maybe you need some money in the first place if you want to have assets, but yeah, you need to get money in place for that. Trusts are taxed differently at lower rates, or they're not taxed at all. In the case of inheritance, the trust will often not fall into the estate, the taxable estate, of the person who has died, meaning that it can't be subject to inheritance tax, aka the devil. Inheritance tax is a killer to generational wealth. It stops the hard work of the middle classes who have been building up capital, building up savings, building up value in their property, and letting their homes appreciate in value from passing that benefit on to their children. It is designed to keep the middle classes and lower classes poor. Don't believe me? Then let's take a look at some figures. Now this is UK based. So in the UK, inheritance tax is 40% on anything over 325,000. So if my parents, who were teachers, paid their mortgage off in full on their home, and that home went up to, let's say, £1 million in value, if when they died, they hadn't protected their assets in any way, that would mean I would have a tax bill to pay on that of £270,000 if we wanted to keep the house, that is. This is what forces most people to have to sell their family homes in order to cover and pay a tax bill that comes with inheritance tax. And that's assuming all they had in their estate was the property. Crazy levels of tax. I hate it. I don't believe in it. To contrast, there are countries that don't even have inheritance tax. Portugal, Canada, Hong Kong, Mexico, Slovakia is one of them, Australia as well. Now this may have changed since I last looked. I'm just reading these things off. So don't come and attack me if this is no longer accurate. Tax law is constantly changing. It's an evolving creature, so don't come at me. Ultimately though, one thing the rich do to stay rich is they make long-term, low-risk investment decisions with the bulk of their investment portfolio. So that may also include investing in real estate in other countries where the tax laws are more favourable. For example, Portugal. So I'm starting to go to Portugal more often, you may have noticed. Of course, they will also have some high risk investments, but this will be a smaller percentage than the new investor. They may even have some crypto. The super wealthy, I know, on average, I would say they probably have around 5% of their portfolio in crypto. Again, they have no need to suddenly make a killing in the crypto markets. Their primary focus is wealth protection, not creation. When I think about what the rich do to get rich and to stay rich, one of the key things that really stands out for me is the fact that they have a clear financial plan. They then execute that plan every day, every week, every month, every year. You get the message. My question is, do you have a financial plan? Do you have a plan of how you are going to make money in the first place? We know we need to start there. And how you're going to generate additional income outside of your job. How are you going to allocate that money that comes in? Where are you going to invest that money for the long term? How are you going to leave that wealth in a tax efficient way to your children or whoever you want to leave it to? Now, those are just some of the basic questions around financial planning and are part of the skill set of financial literacy. It's more than just making money. Making money by itself is not enough to keep you wealthy, just like saving is never going to make you wealthy. If you want to learn more about how to do money better, how to make more of it in less time, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share this video with someone who you think it's going to inspire, you think it's going to help. So remember, like and subscribe and turn on those alerts. My name is Lewis Crumpton, and this is not financial advice.